Good morning and a very warm welcome to this show that keeps you abreast with the latest happenings across our beautiful continent and beyond. My name is Aina Raizakoya and this is Diana Massa on an Africa Good Morning show.
How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic, and yourself?
I'm doing well. You know, it's Friday, we made it.
Finally.
Now let's get into what you can expect in today's broadcast. Nigerian leader defends end to fuel subsidy as a hardship bites harder. Ukraine dam collapse likely shifted huge numbers of mines. Orphanage in Khartoum evacuated after deaths. We'll also be crossing over to Zambia to speak to Mike Sichula as he updates us on the news making headlines that side. Stick around, we'll be back with our top stories right after this break. Let's get into our first story. Deputy Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Emma Theophilus, opened the consultative meeting this morning on building digital skills in Namibia in collaboration with the Estonian e-Governance Academy. Let's have a look.
In this room will be the accelerating effort to ensure that we have digital skills and digital literacy in this country. And that is why we are all convened here today, for all of us to work this journey with us as a government, but more importantly, to do so with vigor and with the ability to change the status quo in our country. It is my hope that you're all aware that this platform has been created for you as our development partners to engage government on issues that are pertinent and critical to the development of ICT sector, which in this era has the potential to unlock endless socio-economic opportunities, particularly for young people. Allow me to assure you that government remains committed to providing legislative and regulatory frameworks that are relevant and responsive to the ever-changing technological landscape. To be certain of this, you will be updated on the progress made thus far during the various ministries' presentations. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, it is my strongest conviction that your deliberations today will yield well-desired results and map the way forward of our digital skills landscape in this country. I also recommend that you advise government where necessary, where improvements are required in the ICT sector. Please do not hold back, because your wins are our wins. And lastly, I thank you for your kind attention and for your fruitful deliberations that you'll have today.
In our next story, the Namibian Union of Financial Institutions is demonstrating against Nedbank Namibia. According to the bank CEO, Martha Mororwa, the unrest stems from the breakdown of a temporary agreement with Nafino and the union's demand at Nedbank's increase their annual rise from 2023 from 7% to 10%. Mororwa stated that inflation, according to the latest figures, stand at 6.1%.
Obviously, we don't take your presence for granted. In the light of the recent actions by Nafino, and I thought it appropriate and prudent to convey the set of facts from our perspective, acknowledging that there seems to be a certain level of conjecture that does not portray the true facts from a Nedbank Namibia perspective. Firstly, Nedbank Namibia reiterates its commitment to recognizing our employees, their rights of freedom of association, and the most important one, the trade union representation, the interests of its members, and obviously including the rights to consult, represent, and negotiate on behalf of its members. Colleagues, the rights and welfare of Nedbank employees is paramount in every facet of what we stand for as good corporate citizens. To this end, both Nedbank and any union have a duty to effectively communicate and disseminate information to employees to make informed decisions.
Getting into our next story, Nigerian leader defends end to fuel subsidy as hardship bites harder. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday defended the West African nation's decision to stop subsidizing fuel, a move that already is adding to economic hardships by pushing up prices for transportation and commodities. The money saved by ending the decades-long subsidy last week will help the government's efforts to fight poverty in its initiatives, Tinubu told governors in a meeting in the capital city of Abuja. He appealed for patience even though hardship is biting harder on millions of citizens. A statement from the Nigerian presidency quoted Tinubu as saying they can see the effects of poverty on the faces of their people. Poverty is not hereditary, it is from society. Their position is to eliminate poverty. The governors supported the subsidy removal and promised to work together in implementing it, the presidency statement said.
In our next story, Ukraine dam collapses likely shifted huge numbers of mines. Alongside the flooding, Ukraine also faces the risk of mines moving following the destruction of a huge hydroelectric dam on front lines between Russia and Ukrainian forces on Tuesday, according to the demining organization Hello. Moscow, which launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, and Kyiv blamed each other for the destruction of the Kharkova hydroelectric station and dam, which unleashed floodwaters from the Dnipro River. Now, Andro, a global research officer at Hello, said his team uncovered 5,000 mines in the Mykolaiv region in the last month alone, likely a fraction of the total amount of unexploded ordnance embedded in the area. These are now at risk of moving due to the flooding, meaning previously mapped areas would need to be re-emped.
Now,
the immediate threat to us and our staff and civilians is the fact that mines might move, and that will lead to the need for us to resurvey these areas, remark them as minefields, and obviously reorganize ourselves in terms of how to approach the clearance problems. Beyond that, the mines might not only move, but they might also fluctuate in terms of the way they're laid, which poses another risk for our staff that they need to be prepared for once we're able to clear the mine. It's most of the southern reaches of the Mykolaiv Oblast where Halo is working, and obviously, so that's the northern bank of the Dnipro River and both sides of the Inhalets River, which feeds into the Dnipro from north to south. Comparable sizes is difficult to say, but probably about the size of Greater London, I think, is a good comparative area.
Video.
No, it's remix, boss.
It's a remix.
Now, an orphanage in Sudan's capital has been evacuated following the deaths of more than 70 infants, toddlers, and older children from hunger and illness over the past couple of months, the UN Children's Agency and a local charity said on Wednesday. The tragedy at the AI Mycoma orphanage made headlines late last month as fighting raged outside between Sudan's military and the paramilitary rapid support forces. The deaths have highlighted the heavy toll inflicted on civilians since mid-April, when the clashes erupted between forces loyal to General Abdel Fattah Burhan and RSF forces led by General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo. About 300 children at the Al Mycoma orphanage in Khartoum were transferred to a safer location elsewhere in the northeastern African nation, said Ricardo Perez, a spokesman for the UN Children's Agency, UNICEF. Sudan's Ministries of Social Development and Health have taken charge of the children, while UNICEF has provided humanitarian support, including medical care, food, educational activities, and play, Perez said in an email to the Associated Press.
After the break, we return with Master Mike Sichula all the way in Zambia for the news-making headlines in that country.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and Oneuptwo.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Allgemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
Now here to bring us some of the latest news from Zambia is Mike Sichula. Good morning, Mr. Sichula.
I'm very well, thank you, Africa. Good morning.
All right, so let's begin with the ongoing COMESA Heads of State and Government Summit taking place in the capital city, Lusaka. What are some of the highlights from the summit?
Yes, thank you very much. Indeed, the COMESA Heads of and Government Summit has been going on. And yesterday, President Hakainde Hichilema welcomed the outgoing COMESA chairperson, President of Egypt, President Sisi. And during that moment, President Hakainde Hichilema thanked President Sisi for the way he had overseen as of the COMESA region. So this COMESA summit has been attended by many heads of state from Malawi, Zimbabwe, Burundi, and all the other leaders to ensure the main program here has been how should the African countries incorporate intra-trade amongst themselves so that they trade more within the region and not depending more from outside trade blocks. So President Hichilema is optimistic that this summit that is taking place in Lusaka is going to look at ways to implement free trade amongst themselves. The summit, according to President Lungu, is capturing the collective desire to see COMESA region thrive based on the resolve to adapt, evolve, and integrate economies while considering global and regional developments. So this is what has been happening. As you can see there, President Hichilema receiving the chairmanship from President Sisi of Egypt.
All right, Master Sichula, in a related development, how much has the African Export-Import Bank set aside to increase intra-COMESA and Africa trade between 2022 and 2026?
The bank has set aside 40 billion United States dollars to increase COMESA intra-trade and Africa trade between 2022 and 2026. So this is something that also President Hichilema touched on, where he implored member states to harness the collective resource endowment of the land of about 2 million square meters and the population in excess of 580 million people. So it is this number of people that are within the region that the African Bank is also pumping in such huge amounts of money to see the region begin to trade more amongst itself, to enhance activity and also develop the manufacturing sectors of these countries, so that once they begin to trade more, then the cost of goods within the regions should become more cheaper and cheaper, unlike what is going on now. So it is also that the bank is also calling on people to increase relationship between themselves so that they stop these border boundaries that keep trade between African countries become a very difficult undertaking.
All right, Mike, please bring us to speed on the issuance of a license to Starlink, a satellite company owned by billionaire Elon Musk.
Yes, this is something that the government of Zambia, under the leadership of President Hichilema, has been pursuing. So the last time when he went to the United Nations to attend the General Assembly meeting, he did meet representatives of Starlink, and he made a commitment that they had signed something on to see to it that Starlink is given a license to trade in Zambia. That is him there in the picture with the Zambian delegation and also the delegation from Starlink. So that issue now has been actualized. Just this week, the government gave a license to Starlink so that they can begin operations. So operations are likely to start in the next month going forward. And according to the Minister of Technology, Felix Mtati, the launch of Starlink in Zambia is going to ensure that there's connectivity across the entire nation. So as our viewers may wish to know, Zambia has been piloting a number of internet-based programs in schools, in the health sector, even in the transport sector. So this coming in of Starlink is bringing hope that even in the remotest parts of the country, people are going to have access to internet, and only have that, but it is going to be faster. It is likely that even the cost of internet in Zambia should become cheaper because there will be many players on the market. So it is a wait and see to see if it's going to be actualized as authorities have promised the Zambian people.
All right, Master Sichula, and now finally we understand that the Copper Queens will be facing Tanzania in a warm-up match in Lusaka this weekend. Tell us about this event.
Yes, the Copper Queens, ever since they qualified to the Women's Africa Cup that was held in Morocco, they have not played any match in Lusaka. So the friendly match between Tanzania is one of the send-off match before they go to Europe to prepare for the World Cup that will be held in New Zealand and Australia. So this match will take place, Zambia versus Tanzania, Sunday, and a number of players have been summoned. You've seen Barbara Banda, even Rachel Kundananji, who is the second top scorer in the Spanish Women's League. So she's also part of the team, and also a number of players are playing in Turkey, in China, and also in other European countries. So the good part again about this team is that the Football Association of Zambia has employed a former United States under-17 women's national team staff coach to be the technical advisor to the in the picture there with Coach Bruce Mwape. So she's Lisa Ko, and she's been part of the sports development in the United States. She's a former Fijian national team coach, and as well as a former Papua New Guinea women's coach. So people are expecting that she's going to add value to the Bruce Mwape Red technical bench, because after this match against Tanzania, the Zambia women's national team, the Copper Queens, will go to Europe, where they are expected to face Germany and also play against Ireland. So these will be some of their last World Cup preparatory games before they head to Australia and New Zealand for the World Cup.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Sichula, for bringing us the latest news on the ground in Zambia. Now, with National Disability Day being celebrated in Namibia on Saturday, the 10th of June, Aina continues her talk with Dagbreek spokesperson Ndunge Iyambo about the school's projects. Let's have a look.
All right, talk to us about any projects that Dagbreek is currently running right now, or future projects.
We have a number of them. I'm so proud to say that our feeding program, for instance, is highly supported by our garden.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I passed through the kitchen, if I'm not mistaken, on my way to this building.
It could be.
Yeah.
So we grow our veggies. The staples we get, from the suppliers, but then things like our veggies, our fresh produce is mostly from our garden.
Yeah.
We also do our own meat processing, right? Again, those are all enhancing skills of children. We're giving them exposure. So the whole, the older learners are part of that process where we debone the meat, we mince the meat, that whole process of meat processing. Again, they are part of the harvesting. We've got the poultry as well, where they take care of the chickens.
Nice.
They is it harvest the eggs? I don't know what that word is called, but when you collect the eggs, when we collect the eggs, also they do all of that. They feed the chickens. They make sure that the chickens are healthy. So we've got the poultry project. We've got the horses as well, right? And then, of course, you also have, those are all the outdoor activities. And then you have the indoor activities. We have the housekeeping, right? Where the children are taught to clean. Again, these are the older kids having looked at what they are able to do, what they are keen on doing. So we now place them into these different classes. And housekeeping is one of them, where they are taught to clean, to iron, to wash, right? So, there's so many. There is food prep.
Okay.
Yeah. that they're also taught to cook. They have, you know, how to follow a recipe, how to read a recipe, how to create a menu, you know. So we have all of that, and we do. You mentioned future plans, and we plan on extending those, and extending the ones that are currently running, and then also adding on. We are planning. It's actually in, you know, in the pipelines of the beauty parlor, where they are taught, you know, to do makeup and makeup. Yes, so you already are readily welcome for hair, pedis and manis, you know. We have our car wash projects, again, extending that, you know, getting more. In fact, we actually got machinery just the other day to just, you know, make it bigger, or, you know. Having a little restaurant so that the food making doesn't just end in the class, but then, you know, how then do you serve this? Front desk training, because there are those that have very good communication skills, you know. So, we're just growing. We're just growing. And it's very exciting because when you see these learners in an area that they are keen on, they flourish and they do so well. And for them to find that particular skill that they are so...
Let's have a look at our economic indicators, proudly brought to you by Bank Windhoek, and thereafter we take a look at our sports package courtesy of Ari Gogad.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with soccer news first, and it is West Ham United, the English Premier League team that won the Europa Conference League title, and they beat Fiorentina in the final by 2-1, and that game was played in the Fortuna Arena, and that was in Prague in Chechnya. So it was West Ham United that won their first international title in 43 years, and it's their first European trophy since 1965. Also, a big accolade for coach David Moyes. David Moyes had a difficult time in coaching. He's been a coach a very long time, and he had coaching stints with Celtic, and also he was the Manchester United coach from 2013 to 2014, and not successful time of coaching for him at Manchester United as well. But now he won his first trophy, major trophy in 25 years of coaching. Moving on to tennis news, it's a French Open that continues in Roland Garros in Paris in France, and it is this weekend coming. It will be the finals in the men's and the women's division. In the men's side of the draw, there's big semi-finals coming up. It will firstly be Casper Ruud that will play against Alexander Zverev. Casper Ruud is from Norway, and in the quarterfinals he beat Denmark's Holger Rune. He beat him in 4 sets, and he's through to the semi-final to play against Alexander Zverev of Germany. The big semi-final that everybody has been waiting for and been anticipated since the draw came out is the semi-final between Carlos Alcaraz, the number 1 seed, and also number 3 seed.
You're still watching Africa Good Morning, but if you're just joining us, here are the news highlights. Deputy Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Emma Theophilus, opened the consultative meeting this morning on building digital skills in Namibia in collaboration with the Estonian e-Governance Academy. Nigerian leader defends end to fuel subsidy as hardships bite harder. Ukraine dam collapse likely shifted huge numbers of mines.
And those have been our highlights. Please be reminded that Africa Good Morning screens on DSTV channel 285 as well as GoTV channel 25. We also welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can post them on our Twitter and Facebook pages. On that note, it's all our love, all our light, and happy weekend.